This cute spindle side table was in need of a makeover. It came with its own pretty ocean lighthouse painting on top, held on with nail heads, many scratches and dings all over, and a partial coverage paint job, none of which is my style. So let's fix it up because the actual piece of furniture is so cute. First, I removed the nail heads that held on the painting. With a lot of time and effort, I was able to pry them off with the help of a metal scraper, a staple remover, a hammer, and some pliers. Some came out easily, while others held on for dear life. With all of the nail heads out, I was able to easily peel the painting off, and I'm not sure why I don't have footage of this part, but anyway, here is what the table looked like after the painting was gone. There was so much glue residue left over. It was bumpy and textured, and I wasn't really sure of the best method to get this stuff off. So I moved on to cleaning the table while I thought about it. I used our trusty cleaner called Crud Cutter to clean up any grease, grime, and oils that were on the rest of this table and wiped it all down with a damp old rag. Then I was ready to tackle the top of the table. I decided to strip it off with a chemical stripper. I sprayed on the Stripwell QCS stripper, let it sit for 15 minutes, and then I was able to scrape off all of the glue. Hallelujah! It came off so easily. Then I applied another coat of stripper for good measure and to see if any more of the finish needed to come off. Then I cleaned up the residue with paper towels and some water. I love how easy this stuff is to use and clean up, and it actually works. I let the wood dry out a bit, and then I filled in the holes from the nail heads and the gouges I created from prying off the nail heads. I used plastic wood filler and a putty knife for this job. After a few hours, I was able to sand the wood filler flush with the wood around it. And while I was at it, I tested out the sander's ability to suck up dust without being attached to a vacuum, since it has its own suction. Although the built-in suction is great, let's be honest, it's far better hooked up to a vacuum. Anyway, then I got busy sanding the spindles. The easiest way ever to sand spindles is with these foam sanding pads. The foam pad makes it possible to sand with an electric sander while the foam hugs the curves. Regular sandpaper and a sander cannot do this at all. My goal here wasn't to remove the paint. I just wanted to smooth it out and remove the sheen so paint would stick to this old paint. And then this table sat as is for a few months while we moved to a new house and got settled. When I was ready to pick it back up, I cleaned up the dust with a vacuum and then wiped it all down with a tack cloth. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with the top at this point, so I covered it with plastic while I worked on the bottom part. Then I got out my spray shelter so I could spray the paint on, because the fastest and easiest way to paint spindles is with a paint sprayer. And I don't want the paint getting on everything else in my garage. It was decent to set up by myself, but if I had another hand, it would have been so very easy. Now for the paint. I chose this beautiful vibrant green from Heirloom Traditions paint. I thinned it with about 20% water and sprayed it with this cheap Von Forn sprayer. This was my very first time trying it, and I thought this sprayer was going to be absolute crap. But I was completely wrong. The paint went on just how I like it and created a flawless smooth finish. I could not believe my eyes because this sprayer is so much cheaper than other sprayers. And it did just as good of a job. Here's a close-up of what the paint looked like after the first coat of paint. I did lightly sand the shelves with a fine grit foam pad between the coats because the overspray settled on the shelves, making it feel a little bit rough. That's totally normal when spraying though. Then I cleaned off the dust and sprayed the next coat of paint. When the paint was dry, I removed the plastic from the top, and honestly, I didn't care for the color of the wood on the top with the color of the paint on the bottom, so I got fancy and tried something new. I used Retique It wooden primer as a base coat, and then when that was dry, I applied the white wood and stain on top, and used a wood grain tool to create a wood grain effect. I tried not to create too much of a wide wood grain pattern that looks like pine wood. I wanted the skinnier wood grain look, if you know what I mean. Then I let that dry. And then finally I stained it with special walnut water-based stain, just like normal. Retake It is really interesting. It has wood fibers in it to help it stain like real wood. How cool is that? Anyway, at this point I wasn't happy with the green and the new look on top, but I took some photos of it as is and I'll show them to you in a second. But before I was truly done and happy with this piece, I painted the bottom another color. This light blue, beautiful color. And then I sealed the top of the table to make it more durable. So here's what it looked like before, and here's what it looks like now. And here's what it looked like with the vibrant green paint. I've got to know, which one is your favorite? The blue or the green? Let me know in the comments. I personally love the new wood top look. With the wood filler, I wouldn't have been able to stain the top to look very good, so this option was perfect and very quick and easy to do. And I personally am partial to the blue paint with the light wood top. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Are you confused and not sure where to start with your furniture makeover? Don't worry, I got your back. Click the link in my comment to download our free painting checklist so you can paint your furniture as if you hired a professional to do it.